Okay, welcome in. There's not a whole lot of football talk per se, although there are plenty of rumors going around about players potentially being traded, like Cooper Cup, and then players who want out of town and have asked for trades, as in Miles Garrett from Cleveland, but nothing has happened just yet. But one thing that did happen yesterday, which was a shock but wasn't a shock at the same time, was that how the New York Jets informed Aaron Rodgers he is not coming back for the 2025-26 season, and that would have been the end of his third year and the end of his contract. So, since the Jets are releasing him, he will be owed money. But the big question is, what is he going to do going forward? Does he try to go for another team? And if that's the case, where does he go? Where would be a good fit? Off the top of my head, I don't really see any team desperate for a 41-year-old quarterback. He will be 42 this upcoming December, so if he does happen to land on a team for the 2025-26 season, he will be turning 42 as the season goes into December. So, um, for me personally, I just think he should probably just hang him up. I mean, again, I'm sure there are some teams out there that would love to have a veteran guy like that on the team. And he didn't play poorly last year, but he didn't play that great at the same time. And his tenure with the Jets evidently ended a year short of their agreed contract from 2023 when the Packers traded him to the New York Jets. So I just want to take a look at some stats. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go through everything. So I think in his rookie season, which would have been the 2008-2009 season, that's not listed on this website. I've tried going through a couple of different websites. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to find anything. I'm sure if I tried a little bit harder, I could, but just on short notice, this was the best I could come up with. So 2008, 2009, 2009, 2010, and then 2010, 2011. So evidently, the first three seasons aren't on the website, but 2011 is the first one that comes to mind. So he played 15 of the 16 games that season. He had 501 passing attempts, 342 completions, a 68.3 completion percentage, 4,637 yards, average just over 309 yards a game, 45 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I'm pretty sure his quarterback rating was 122.48, if I'm not mistaken, and 60 rushes, I believe, on 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 fumbles. So just a pretty average season, I would say. In 2012, 2013, again, all 16, or sorry, his first, no, sorry, 16 games played that year. He finished with 1,070 yards, I believe. What was this? Sorry, 1,071 snaps. That's my bad. 97.10 was his snap percentage. He had 552 passing attempts, 371 completions, a 67.2 passing completion percentage. He had 4,295 yards, 268.4 yards a game. He would average that season, and 39 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So, very, very good season when it came to that category. A passer rating of 108.02, 54 rush attempts. He had 239 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and I forgot about the fumbles. 5 fumbles that year. 2013, he would play only 9 games, so he would be injured that season. He had 582 snaps. He had a snap percentage of 51.9, 290 attempted passes, 193 completions, so less than 100 incompletions, a 66.6 completion of his passing percentage. He had 2,536 yards, 281.8 yards per game was his average, 17 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. So I'm sure if he played a full season, he probably could have gotten to about 30 passing touchdowns had he not gotten hurt. His passer rating was 104.9. He had 30 rushes, 120 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 fumbles. So not the best season when it came to running the ball. 2014, he would come back, play a full season with the Packers, and 16 games played. Oops, I don't know what I just did there. There we go. Sorry. 2014, 16 games played. He had 983 snaps, 93.6 was his snap percentage, 521 pass attempts on 341 completions, 65.6 passing percentage. He would finish the year with 4,381 yards, 273.8 average yards per game, and his touchdown to interception ratio was off the chart, 38-5. His passing percentage would be 112 point. Sorry, passer rating would average about 112.19, 43 rush attempts on 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. But this was the bad stat here: 10 fumbles. That would be his career high for fumbles. So at least it would progress over time. All right, 2015, he would play all 16 games yet again. He would have 1,138 snaps, 99.1 snap percentage. He would complete 347 passes on 572 attempts for a 60.7 passing completion percentage. He would finish the year with 3,821 yards. He would average about 238.8 yards per game. He had 31 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, so a pretty decent touchdown to interception ratio in that season. His passer rating would average about 92.71, so I believe that was the first time in his career he was below 500. And we'll take a look at his rush attempts. So he finished with 58 rush attempts, 344 yards, 1 touchdown, and 8 fumbles. So those fumbles just always seemed to elude him earlier on in his career. 2016, again, all 16 games were played that season. He would finish with 1,066 snaps. His snaps percentage would be 98 exactly. He would finish the year 401 passing completions on 610 attempts, so over 200 misses. A 65.7 passing completion percentage. Try saying that 5 times fast. He would finish this season with 4,428 yards. He would average about 276.8 yards per game. And then his touchdown to interception ratio, again, off the charts, 40-7. Very good numbers, to say the least. His passer rating that season would be 104.19, so he'd get back into the 100s. And he would have 369 rushing yards on 67 attempts, 4 touchdowns, and 8 fumbles. So again, those fumbles, if you're fumbling more than you're scoring touchdowns, you're clearly having control issues with the football. 2017 would be his second season where he would miss some time due to injuries, only playing 7 games that year. He would finish with 418 snaps, a 53.5 snap percentage. He had 154 completions on 238 attempts. 64.7 would be his passing completion percentage. His passing yards would be 1,675 yards. So unfortunately, because he got injured, he wasn't able to get over 3,000 yards that season. He would finish the year with a 239.3 passing yards per game. And his touchdown to interception ratio was 16-6. So he had 10 more touchdowns than he did for picks. And I guarantee if he didn't get hurt, he probably could have had like a 30 to maybe 10 ratio when it came to touchdowns and picks. So he finished the year with a 97.23 passer rating. And he had 126 yards on 24 rush attempts, 0 touchdowns, and only 1 turnover. So at least his turnovers got down to below 8, which was the first time in his career. So 2018, he would play all 16 seasons. And for the second year in a row, the Packers would miss the playoffs. So you could really blame injuries on the 2018-2019 season. He would finish the year with 1,013 snaps. His snapping percentage would be 94.2. He would finish the year with 372 passing completions on 597 attempts. So just over 200 incompletions, and then there could also be some interceptions in there as well. He would finish the season, his passing completion percentage, I'm going to get tired of saying that, would be 62.3 that year. And then he would finish the year with 4,442 passing yards. He would average about 277.6 yards per game. He had a touchdown to interception ratio of 25-2. So it's crazy to think he played all that time, all those games, 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and they did not make the playoffs. So clearly they had other issues with their team that season. His passer rating that year would be 97.57. And he'd have 269 rushing yards on 43 attempts that year, 2 touchdowns to 6 fumbles. So again, those fumbles just always seem to get the worst of them, and it's hard to remember a time when he had more touchdowns than fumbles. 2019-20, they would finally get back into the playoffs. He played all 16 games that season. He would finish with 1,087 snaps and snap percentage of 98.1. He had 353 passing completions on 569 passing attempts, a 62 percentage exactly on his passing completion percentage. Wow. He finished with 4,002 yards that season, 250 yards per game roughly, and his passing touchdowns was 26-4, so a very good touchdown to interception ratio. He would finish the year with a 95.39 passing rating, and then he had 183 rushing yards on 46 attempts, 1 touchdown, and 4 fumbles. So again, those fumbles every season, you're always guaranteed. He was always guaranteed to give up the ball, unfortunately. 2020, he would play 16 games that year. He would finish the year with 1,018 snaps. He had 372 completed passes on 526 pass attempts, which would be his highest passer completion percentage to date at 70.7 that season. So his numbers did improve. He finished with 4,299 yards, passing yards, just 1 yard shy of 4,300. He would finish with 268.7 passing yards a game, roughly. And then he had 48 touchdowns to 5 picks. So I'm pretty sure that was an MVP season, if I'm not mistaken. Very good numbers, to say the least. His passer rating was mind-blowing, 121.53 that season. He would have 149 rushing yards on 38 attempts, 3 rushing touchdowns to 4 fumbles. So he was close to being around 500 with the rushing touchdown to fumble percentage. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the 2021 season. 16 games played, another full season. He had 983 snaps, and he had a snapping percentage of 88.10. He would finish the year with 366 passing completions on 531 attempts. He had a 68.9 passing completion percentage. So glad this list is almost done. I'm getting tired of saying those 3 words. He would finish with 4,115 passing yards on, and his passing yards per game that season was roughly 257.2. And then he had a amazing 37-4 when it came to passing touchdowns to interceptions. I'm pretty sure that was another MVP season again, if I'm not mistaken. And his passer rating was back over 100, 111.9. He would finish the year with 101 rushing yards, so he's definitely towards the end of within the last 5 years or so. His rushing yards definitely have gone down on 33 attempts. He had 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 fumbles, so at least he evened out when it came to that category. 2022 would be the last season in Green Bay. This time it was a 17-game season. This was the first time they had that in the NFL, and to this day it still is 17 games. I'm sure it's a matter of time before they add another game in there. It's got to happen, right? So we finished the year with 1,068 snaps and 97.6 snaps percentage. He would finish the year with 350 passing completions on 542 attempts, a 64.6 passer completion percentage. Wow, I love saying that. He would finish with the year with 3,695 passing yards, 217.4 passing yards per game. So that definitely did start to decline, like I said, within the last couple of years. He finished the year with 26 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, so just roughly over 2-1 in that ratio. A 91.07 passer rating, so his number did dip down below 100. He would finish the year with 94 rushing yards on 34 attempts. He had 1 rushing touchdowns and unfortunately 8 fumbles as well. So in that offseason, the 2023 offseason, he would essentially want out of Green Bay. He got his wish. He went to another team that had green in their colors, the New York Jets. So he was almost like pulling Brett Favre. A lot of people were making comparisons to that. The only catch is Favre didn't get traded from the Packers to the Jets. He retired. Then he wanted to come back out of retirement. The Jets were like, no, we're moving on to Aaron Rodgers. And then Favre was like, okay, well, I want to go sign. So he's basically a free agent. He went on to play a season with New York. And then I think he played 2 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings. So when Rodgers got dealt to the Jets, a lot of people were making the comparison, oh, he's pulling a Favre. And then who knows, maybe he'll spend his last couple of years in Minnesota. But at least Rodgers did 2 years in New York rather than just 1. Unfortunately, he only played 1 game, and he only played 4 snaps. I think he went 1 for 4 in the opening game against the Bills. Then he ended up tearing his Achilles in the first drive for the Jets. So his lowest stats ever of his professional career. Again, only one. Sorry, he was 0 for 1 when it came to to that one particular drive, and it's just basically zeros all across the board. A passer rating of 39.58, and yeah, so one drive and his season essentially was over. And then this past season, he would play all 17 games for the Packers. He had 1,030 snaps, a 96.6 snapping percentage. Pass attempts, he had 368 pass attempts on 368 completions, I apologize, and 584 attempts. He had a 63.0 passer completion percentage. That's the last time I got to say those 3 words. His passing yards, he had 3,897. His passing yards per game was 229.2. He would finish with 28 passing touchdowns to 11 interceptions, so roughly just under a 3-to-1 ratio when it came to that category. His passer rating this past season was 90.53. He had 22 rush attempts, 107 total rushing yards, and the last stat, rushing touchdowns, 0 and 5 fumbles. So it seemed like evidently he always found a way to fumble the ball. Now, I mean, you can't really fault a quarterback, especially if he gets hit. The ball comes out, but I mean, the same thing can happen to a receiver or a tight end or a running back. They can get hit, and then that can be a fumble against them. So again, just a quick little review from Aaron Rodgers' career so far. If he does happen to do a retirement, then I will do another video and follow his full career, because like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm missing the first 3 seasons of his professional career. So I'll say this again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, just call it quits. You can have so much more of a future, so much more privacy, because I know that the media was starting to get to him, and I mean, just like with any celebrity, I'm sure you can only take so much before you reach your boiling point. But like, there's always speculation, there's always rumors about what he's doing, and then that whole hiatus when he was with Green Bay, went to that hideout, I think, for X amount of days. That was very unlike Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, everybody needs to go to a safe place from time to time just to escape reality for a little while. So on that sense, I can kind of get it. But the guy's always been a bit of a drama queen, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not hating on the guy, but just think about it. All the times that there was so many speculations, and like the one thing that stood out to me, which really wasn't that good, because like as he was getting older, he was turning more into like a leader and a veteran. And leaders, they're supposed to lead by example. And I remember when the whole season with COVID, I mean, it evidently spilled into like the second season. But when COVID struck, and then he lied about getting the vaccine, and it didn't look good. Then he got tested for COVID, and everyone's questioning, like, how can he get it if he already, said he got the needle? Then he found out that he lied about it. So there's always been some off-field issues that really, I don't want to say tarnished his career, but again, there's just been times here and there where he could have done things a little differently, could have said things maybe differently, but I mean, he's the kind of guy who doesn't really have a filter. He just says what's on his mind, and I'm not trying to throw shade against him, But he's definitely the kind of guy that's willing to throw his team under the bus, even if he has a bad game. And he's had a few bad games. Let's not be blunt about that. So again, just because of his age and because you can clearly see from the stats that I have been reading, his numbers have been declining. But unfortunately, Father Time, it does catch up with a lot of athletes, and some sooner than others. But let's be realistic. If you're playing into your 40s and you're in the NFL, it's hard hitting. It's definitely hard on your body, and injuries probably take longer to recover than they do. And if I was an NFL GM and he called asking, "Hey, do you mind doing a tryout?" I would be a little hesitant. Again, if this was 30-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 35-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and he was available, I'd say, I guarantee there'd be 31 teams knocking at his door to try to sign him. But just because, like I said, he's 41, he'll be 42 this upcoming December. It's very scarce you see guys playing, especially at an elite level, in their early to mid 40s. I mean, I say that, and then Tom Brady was still playing excellent in his 40s as well before he retired. But just because of how poorly he has played, I just think it's just time to hang up the cleats. He could do so much more with his life if he wanted to follow Brady. I'm not saying he wants to be in a shadow, but if he wanted to follow Brady and do like broadcasting or start like his own podcast, because he's been on the Pat McAfee show several times, I can guarantee that's something he would love to do because he loves to interact with people. So I think that would definitely suit him moving forward. Now, should he happen to play another season, would I be surprised? Not really. But again, just because of the reasons that I have explained, it's hard for me to believe that there's 30 teams out there, or 31 teams out there. I don't think Green Bay is going to take him back. So 30 teams out there that are willing to take a huge gamble and a swing on Aaron Rodgers. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where do you think he's going to go? There's all sorts of speculation of he could go here, he could go there. But again, just because I've seen the decline of him within the last 3 or 4 years, let's be realistic. I just think it's time for him to hang it up because he has really nothing else to prove. Yes, I'm sure he would love to get that second Super Bowl ring so he can get out of that one ring class. But hey, let's be honest, not everybody's lucky enough to win a Super Bowl ring. All right, that's going to take care of this particular video. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. As always, until next time, take care.